Yo, what's going on, bro? Do you hear me now?
Is it?
Test? Yo, can you hear me now? Test, can you hear me? Okay. How's it going, bro? I'm doing well, man. Doing well. Just everything was going according to plan, and and then the dog was like, I need you to take me. I'm like, are you serious? And she's like, well, you don't have to if you want. You don't want to, but you won't like it. Yeah. As a result, I had to hurry and take her out, and that was that. You know, because it's an emotional hobby, right? So I mean, uh, I don't know.
Roadcaster 2. There we go. All right. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Gaming Forte. I am here without the man, the myth, the legend today. He's on vacation with his family. Probably sweating in some apartment, after being outside for 18 hours with his family, not going to sleep till 4 o'clock in the morning. Those are the type of things you do when you're on vacation. You don't really get sleep. Vacation really isn't a vacation. And that is kind of a question I want to ask. But before we get into that, I do want to introduce the third part of the Legion of I haven't came up with a name for us yet, but I will at some point. But the third part of the podcast, the man, the homie, Ramon Terrell. How have you been, man? How you been going? What's been up with you?
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's great to be back as part of the Three Horsemen because we so powerful we don't need four. We only need three.
Facts.
Um, yeah, it's been great. Just busy week as we were talking about a few minutes ago. Busy week doing stuff, trying to enjoy summer. Summer is a little bit shorter up here in Vancouver, but the cool thing is the days last longer. So dawn is roughly about 4:45 to 5 a.m. and right now it doesn't get dark till 10.
Good
So
God.
it's yeah, so it's my favorite time of the year. That's another reason why it's my favorite time of the year. A lot of people don't like it. My brother hates it because he's a vampire. But
So
like he doesn't live up here. But when I show him pictures and I tell him about it, I'm like, yeah, it's 9:30 right now, and it looks like it's like barely
I
dusk, not even dusk. He's like, no, man, I can't deal with that.
I
But
forgot that you're that far up north being in Canada.
oh, dude, this I still haven't been able to catch it, but um, the Northern Lights, like you can see the Northern Lights up here sometimes. I have friends who have been able to catch it, but I still haven't seen them yet. But yeah, the you can see the Northern Lights up here at certain times during the summer.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because like right now it's 9 o'clock and it's dark here. It gets dark
Yes,
here
yes.
in Michigan, which is right underneath Canada. It gets dark here around 8:30, 8:45. So
Oh,
so it just started getting dark here. So that's crazy. There's a whole extra hour and a half of sunlight up there. Well, not even sunlight, dusk, we'll call it.
well, it like right now it's 6 o'clock here, and it pretty much looks like it's like 2 p.m. Like it's
Oh,
bright.
wait, it's 6 o'clock where you are? You're that far
Yeah, I'm
behind?
3 hours behind
So
you.
you're 3 hours behind me.
Yeah,
Oh, so because
I'm
you're on the
PM.
western side of this of Canada, right? You're closer to like
Yeah, yes. I'm over
Pacific
Washington.
time. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense. Okay, yeah, you're West Coast. I keep forgetting that Canada is like almost
directly
bigger,
in the U.S.
bigger than it's like the literally the same length of the United States of America. It is its
Just
own.
about.
It's literally its own continent up there. Yeah, we're right underneath Windsor, so you're all the way.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
we on the opposite side.
Yeah, you're on the opposite side. Basically, a world. That's what it is when it comes to our state. But no, yeah. Outside of that, man, what you been playing and things you've been getting into this week.
Well, as far as getting into just work and uh slowly getting this working on this pre-launch campaign for this Kickstarter for my next book. So that's been an ongoing process. And on the gaming side, I finished Pragmata, which is such a good game. It's really a breath of fresh air. It's refreshing because Hugh and Diana, their dynamic is awesome. Hugh, instead of going for the low hanging fruit of him being, broken and brooding, and Diana has to break through to him to, bring him back to his humanity and all that. They didn't go that route. Hugh had a good childhood as, an adoptee. I mean, this is already known, so it's not a spoiler. But and he's kind-hearted dude, and he and Diana really, kind of developed that, father-daughter bond. Even though she's an android, she's so much like a little girl that you forget. And then you see little things here and there that remind you that, she is an android, outside of course, like the hacking that you're constantly doing in combat. But like, she's so charming and so cute. You just can't help but love her. So, um, very emotional story, really cool. Highly, highly recommend that. And I started 007 yesterday and got some time in today. And the best thing I can say to describe 007 is, if you've watched the movies, like it's a good game on its own merits. But if you've watched any of the movies, you will enjoy this more because it literally IOI did what Rocksteady did with Batman. They make you feel like 007. That's the best compliment, and the best way I can say it is they make you feel like 007. All the cool stuff he does in the movies, you get to do in the game. All the gadgets and the espionage and the spying and all of that. It's in every way it is a James Bond game. And that intro, like you play through the beginning of the game, and then once you get through the prologue and it goes to the title screen, and then it goes through the montage as the opening song is playing, is just chef's kiss. It is pure James Bond. And I mean, I'm not a huge Bond fan like that. I've seen a few of the movies. I think like maybe three, but it is vintage, pure James Bond. They did a fantastic job, and I'd say right now it's my personal game of the year so far. It is fantastic. They captured it 100%. So that's where that's what I've been on. How about you, Forte? What you been playing?
I definitely agree with you, especially with Bond. That game got me invested right off the bat. As soon as I started playing, I was like, "Oh, bro, this."
Fast.
I was like, right off the first, like off the inaugural mission, and you just wet behind the ears, and you up here talking to mom, and he literally like sneaks in mom a couple of times when he's talking to her, and you could definitely see how everything kind of ended up where it ended up being with the relationships between the two just off that first mission. And like you said, once you hit the title screen, it's like, bro, that was actually really good, and a really good introduction to like the essence of what a Bond game is, or like you said, just watching the movies and stuff. And one of my most favorite, everybody loves GoldenEye. When you watch a Bond, you're like, oh my God, it's like the first 15 minutes is just not even the title screen is showed up. You haven't even been graced with looking down a barrel of a gun with a good looking woman at the end of the barrel. And you already see crazy stuff happening to kind of set up the whole show. And I felt like they like really, really nailed that. And not just the gameplay, but just the atmosphere in general. The scale, like looking at like the scale of the environments is like, it's like, yo, I can go all the way over there and I can see all of this from here. And it's like they did a really good job with the sandbox to like make you feel like it was so enormous, but it was like a set path for you, but you would never know that by just looking at it. It's like, yo, you just kind of just move forward in just the game. And I really did enjoy that about it. But
Dude, there's one thing. I'm sorry to interrupt.
no, go ahead.
The one cool thing I found, there was one part where I got in a shootout, and it forces you. The enemy AI is not stupid, and they
No.
force you to figure out a way to get past them. Like, you can't just shoot. I mean, you could try to just shoot and kill every one of them, but they're coming at you from all sides, and they are relentless, and they're talking to each other like, I gotta reload, my gun is jammed, cover me. And it's like, if you just try to bulldoze your way through, you will get bodied. So they literally force you to look around your environment to find something that you can use to tip the scales in your favor. Like, they did a great job of forcing you to look around and see what you can do to get rid of clumps of enemies at once. And it's just so
Mhm.
well done.
Yeah, I agree. For myself, I finally beat Adventures of Elliot. That was really good. I think it took me 22 hours to beat it. So it
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
so it was actually a lot longer. When I said I was like 8 hours in, that's like, oh, okay, it's a little bit more to it. Especially for the completionist side of it, getting all the side quests and all the story elements done. And it's like really good, like closest thing that you'll get to like, that Bravely Default and Final Fantasy type gameplay. I really, really enjoy that. I just like the aesthetic of the game too. That's really, really cool.
Which one is this?
The Adventures of Elliot.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's in my wish list. I'm hoping to get to that
Yeah. I
sometime
played
around
it.
this
I
year.
played it on Switch because I just feel like games like that are, you know, I'm not gonna say made for that platform. It makes it easy for you to like kind of put it down and pick it up because you're not. I don't know if
Tied in.
yeah, you're not tied to it, but I also don't know. To me, I feel like I got to that point where my commitment level has to really be there to sit down at my PC or cut on my PlayStation to actually enjoy the experiences on there. Like I have to be willing to sit down for like 3, 4, 5 hours to like really, really like get into that zone to actually want to play those games and stuff, which it was never
Yeah.
really an issue when I was younger. It's not like I'm old now, but
Well, you
I
got less time. You got more
yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So it's like I see myself, if I'm not doing something, I just pick my Switch up. And then I feel like I can move around the house if my wife wants me to go do something, or if I want to. And I sometimes I find myself she'll be watching TV upstairs in the room, and I'll just get my Switch and I'll have my headphones on. And I'll just be laying in the bed next to her playing in handheld mode. And it just seems more soothing to me, because I don't know what it is, but it's like it's most of my games I've just kind of just predominantly been playing over there, outside of the few games like I said, Battlefield, and a couple of times I jumped on Destiny, and then I did pick up college football today because I love college football. Played a little bit of that earlier. I was thinking about picking up Assassin's Creed Black Flag because I never played the original. So I thought this would
Oh,
be
really?
I never, yeah. Well, see, this is the
Oh
thing.
man, you missed out on.
Well, this is the thing with me and Assassin's Creed. I couldn't stand. I played about 6 hours of the first one of the original Assassin's Creed, and it was
Yeah.
so janky and so boring and so repetitive. It just made
Did
me
you
not.
play it at launch, or when did
Yeah,
you play the first?
I played it at launch,
Okay, it was
and
very repetitive.
very repetitive. So it made me not want to play any Assassin's Creed after that. So even knowing Assassin's
Man.
Creed 2 at the time was considered the best one of everything, I just skipped it.
Fantastic.
Same thing with Assassin's Creed 3 with Connor. I skipped it. Black Flag, I skipped it. So I didn't start playing Assassin's Creed. I didn't play a first Assassin's Creed game until Odyssey came out. And
Wow.
so
Man, they were so good. Like
yeah,
they just seriously got them.
yeah, and I hear it's really, really good and stuff, but it was just like I was one of those people that if I didn't play the first, it just made me not want to go back. Like the only game I've ever like had that really impacted me enough to make me go back and play the first one was Mass Effect, because Mass Effect 2, I liked Mass Effect 1 at first, and then I got stuck in like a certain area. I think it was like when I was scanning planets and I went on a planet like you had to discover a new planet, and you had to like research and do stuff on it. And I really wasn't paying attention to the menus and stuff with the Mako and how to like leave the planet and stuff. I couldn't figure out like, how do I go back to the Normandy? And I couldn't figure it out. So I said, you know what? It doesn't matter. I didn't even look up a video to try to figure it out. So I just cut the game off and left. And then 2 years later, Mass Effect 2 was coming out. And I remember my brother called me. He was like, bro, have you played this game? I said, no, I didn't even finish the first one. He said, you need to play the first mission. So, the old pirating days of just to play something. He was like, try it. And I downloaded it and played the first mission, and I was hooked. And then I got to the screen where it says, do you want to import your shepherd? And I was like, no way. I was like, I have to go and play the first one because I want to take my shepherd with me. I want to have the whole experience. So that forced me to go play the first one. And then after I played the first one, I realized it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It was just more of getting past that tutorial area and all the stuff that was happening on the Citadel that just makes it seem like a slog. Because I think you spend the first 5 or 6 hours on the Citadel in that one. But that was the only game that I've ever like didn't play the first one. And then I ended up going back to play it because the second one, just the first 20 minutes of it was so good. It was like, I have to go back and do it. So I did that, and that's the case. Oh, and then the last thing I did start my BioShock Infinite playthrough again, because I always go through it at least once a year. And I was actually showing my youngest daughter Peyton, because she was talking about some games she wanted to play, and I showed her the BioShock franchise, and she was like, "Oh," she's like, "Yeah, I saw that on there, but I didn't know what it was about." So I booted up BioShock Infinite to like kind of show her, and she was like, "Oh yeah, this is good. This looks crazy." I said, "Well, no, don't start with this one. Start with BioShock, regular BioShock." So I've been watching her go through that, and I'm starting BioShock Infinite, playing that again for I
That's some
think.
good parenting right there.
Oh brother, yeah, she can't just start. I said you can't just start with the goat, the goat
Yeah,
BioShock
man, you gotta
Infinite.
you gotta go back to the start of it all,
Hey, I
man.
need you to know
That
why some of these things happen inside of BioShock Infinite before you, because you ain't about to ask me a
that
thousand questions. Like, what did this mean? What did that mean? Well, shoot, I was like you said, bad parenting. I ain't tell her what she should have did. Go back and play the other ones. But yeah,
that
I think she's about 6 or 7 hours into BioShock One. I'm really interested to see how she's going to feel about BioShock Two when she finally gets to it. Because there is a
yeah.
stark difference
Well, yeah.
between,
There's a start.
because it's different, a
There's a
different
difference.
development house on it.
It's a different development house, and I'm kinder to that game than it feels like most people are. Like I enjoyed it. It
Yeah, me
is
too.
undeniably the weakest of the trilogy,
Mm-hmm.
but like I still loved it. I mean, I thought they did a good job. I really did. I thought they did a good job, and I liked it enough to not only keep it in my library back when I had it on what was it PS3, but
Right.
then I I rebought the remastered trilogy on PS4. But before I could finally get around to playing it again, uh, I built my PC. And so then I went and I saw it on sale, so I went ahead and grabbed it on PC. So I've owned the trilogy 3 times, and I got to get to that at some point because talk about a
Right.
peak series, just peak.
Yeah. Peak. Peak season, bro. You right. Um, okay, so with that being said, um, we miss you, Slow Mo. Hopefully you have a really, really good vacation. But
Yeah, I hope you're having fun, Slomo.
yeah, having fun, probably sitting on the beach somewhere, sipping the Mai Tai, something. I don't know, got a straw hat on your head. Who knows what your wife is out there doing to you right
got some
now?
got some jeans cut off at the ankles like buckwheat maybe.
Oh, right. got the got the aviator glasses on, looking like he about to go to
Oh
flight
yeah.
school. Got
Yeah,
the ring.
that straw hat got all them strands sticking out the side, and they're all
Mm-hmm,
in a blade swirl going to the right.
mm-hmm. Got 2 rings on his finger, one on his pinky, one on his ring finger. You trying to figure
Yeah.
out which one is the real one? Oh man, got a toothpick in his
Oh
mouth.
man.
Yeah, we going wild right now. But that's but
In a striped shirt.
right, exactly. Striped shirt. All right. So first, we ain't got the sound effects here. We just gonna move on because I forgot that.
Oh
Oh really? Ba, 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 ba,
really?
ba, ba. Oh really? Okay. All right. First rapid fire topic. Rumors and speculations around Halo possibly being moved under Bethesda. This was on the Xbox 2 podcast. Jez talked about this being a rumor with the homeboy Rambo Outdoor 19, talking about in general how it could be a situation where they could move the development of their Halo underneath Bethesda. Ramon, do you, if that, with this even being a rumor, what does this tell you about their overall thoughts and feelings of what 343 actually is? Because if that's the case, does that mean that 343 is probably not too long for the, oh, I keep calling them 343, they're called Halo Studios now, never mind. But does that mean
Yeah,
that
they
they're not
343.
long for this world anymore if this is actually the case? Or do you think that they would just move something like Halo Studios underneath the Bethesda banner? Like, what do you actually think about something like that? Do you even think that's a good idea?
Look, man. if they are if this rumor turns out to be true and they're moving it under Bethesda, first of all, I'm trying to make sense of it because the people that would seem like they would be best equipped to handle Halo, they cut a bunch of staff from.
Mm-hmm.
It has a different id Software has a different vibe and a different feel, but they're the only studio under the Bethesda umbrella where it would make the most sense, and they cut a whole bunch of those people. So like, but just to go with it, and I still don't understand that move because it has been producing. But
Oh, yeah, we're gonna talk
anyway,
about it.
yeah. But if they did that, let's just say that they're doing that. Let's just say they're doing it. I don't see. I personally can't ration. I can't come up with a rationale for uh Halo Studios, because I call them 343,
Same.
being known for this world, because number one, they have not been able to get a single Halo completely right. They got the gameplay right for Infinite. The story is debatable. There are people who loved it. There are people who didn't like it at all. Um, they didn't get content out fast enough to keep the game, the live service side, the multiplayer side of it alive. And it was supposed to be ongoing, hence Infinite, and that didn't happen. And then you get they outsourced apparently the campaign Evolved, which turned out to be good without the proprietary slip space engine. And apparently it seems like it turned out pretty good. So what that's a black eye on them, because it shows, well, you guys haven't been able to get it right, and this company right here was able to actually, release a good product. Has Campaign Evolve dropped yet, or is it still on the way?
Still on the way.
Okay, so I'll fall back on that because we don't know. All early impressions seem to be positive, but we don't know yet, so we'll have
Right.
to wait and see on that. But if Campaign Evolve turns out to be good, and then this rumor has any kind of credence to it, then it just makes it makes the irony of calling themselves Halo Studios now, and they can't make a completely good Halo game, and then an outside team comes along and does a remake that turns out to be good, is just pure irony. And nah, man, I don't like. They've had so many internal issues. I could see them maybe salvaging some of the people on the team, maybe, but I mean, considering all the cuts they're doing, who knows? But I don't. I can't imagine Halo Studios is sticking around much longer if this rumor is true. And if the rumor isn't true, I still am not sure if they're going to be sticking around, because they've been problems. There've been so many problems, so many internal problems. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if they're outsourcing the next Halo game. To me, that's just like writing on the wall. Like, you're called Halo Studios, but you're not working on Halo. How's that sound? Like, what does that look like? Where you work, Halo
That's what.
Studios. Oh,
That's what.
so what are you guys working on? Oh, we're not working on anything yet. But wait, there's a Halo coming out next year. Oh yeah, we didn't work on that. What?
Mm.
Like, imagine, like, how does that sound?
Sounds
Yeah,
asinine to me.
I work at Ford, but we didn't make the most recent you know Mustang. Well, what are
I
you
work it.
making? Don't know yet.
Oh no, yet. Working the pick. We work in the truck factory, and that new F-150. I don't know where that came from. It didn't come from us. I don't know
Oh,
what
man.
happened there. No, that's very very true. It just really comes back to, like, Xbox. To me, it just seems like I feel like they know where they want to go. They just they don't know how to get there without alienating and pissing everybody off at the same time. Because, we're going to talk about some of the stuff like you talked about with id Software, ID Software later. But it just seemed like all of all of the stuff that we were talking about with Xbox, with the doom and gloom and all the articles and all of the rumors that were coming out, like how bad the layoffs were going to be. And they were bad. They were really bad. But they ended up people saying they weren't as bad as they thought they were going to be. But then you had situations that kind of popped up over the last couple of days that we're going to talk about. But when it comes to Halo, I mean, at a certain point, it's like it's one of those franchises that was lightning in a bottle. You know, Bungie was very, very good at what they did when it came to developing and getting people to really, really play the games the way that they wanted them to, and the whole 30 seconds of fun and everything. And it hasn't, I won't say that Halo hasn't had that since they've left, but they haven't had it at, it hasn't been sustained since then. Like Halo 4, in my opinion, was actually a really good game. It was by far the best looking, you know, for a game that came out on the 360. When I looked at Halo 4, I was like, bro, it actually looks really good for a 360 game that came out at the very end of the gen. And in some parts, yeah, and the story was pretty decent. I mean, I could care less about the rampancy that they were doing with Katana and everything, and that's kind of where it started going off the rails for a lot of people. But it was always like it was two different factions warring about how they wanted to proceed with it. And I get why you would put it under something like Bethesda, even though, and I still don't see how it would work. Unless you're putting Halo Studios under Bethesda in order to, you know, kind of, you know, get more online when it comes to like just the structure of how they go about making their games. So where's the, oh, here it is right here.
Then you get into a company culture issue, because those two companies probably have two different cultures. So
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. And I think this is, and the thing is, he talked about stability over the years and the frequency of games coming out. Let me ask you something. How long it's been since Elder Scrolls 5 came out? When did that come out? 11, right?
1876.
Right, exactly.
Oh. I mean, you asked when, not how, what it felt like.
What it felt like.
Skyrim came out during the PS360, because it came out on 360 first and then PS3, which was broken.
Was broken.
So what was that?
It was 11/11/11. 11/11/11 was the release date.
That is crazy.
I mean, dude, it's older than Grand Theft Auto, which is crazy. And we haven't seen. Think about it.
Grand Theft Auto 5 and 6.
We talked. That's what. When I heard this rumor, I was like, bro, they said about stability and frequency of the franchise, and I'm like, bro, we have gotten 2 Grand Theft Autos since the last Elder Scrolls came out.
It's like they're taking a page out of George R.R. Martin's book with Song of Ice and Fire, aka Game of Thrones.
Right.
It's like they took a page out of his book.
Right. And then you go back and further, you start thinking, okay, when did Fallout come out? Fallout, I think, was 2014. Dude, it's like 12 years ago. Almost 12 years ago. Fallout 4.
That is freaking wild.
So it's like, what are we doing? So what frequency are you talking about? I mean, are you talking about all the other studios like Wolfenstein and stuff like that they had games that came out, or Doom, which is unfortunate, what we're going to talk about later? I mean, they had frequency in other tent poles come out and stuff, but the main stuff has it. And you're talking about the thing that makes Xbox, which is Halo. So yeah, I don't know how that would work. I just thought it was a funny thought experiment that if it actually did happen, how would it actually work? Which I just don't think will. At that point, I just think, you know, Halo isn't going anywhere, but I also don't think Halo is a priority like it used to be under Xbox, because they have more data on newer games being able to capture mind share and show the ability to withstand the drought that's been going on in gaming when it comes to like just getting people in those games under active users and playing. Like, I think they see a game like Sea of Thieves is more valuable than Halo right now. Probably even Grounded, because there's active they have really good communities. There's active users always playing the game. It's not to say that those games are better and more coveted, but at the end of the day, the most coveted game isn't the game that makes the most money. It isn't the game that brings in the most, revenue. It might be that lightning in a bottle. I think PlayStation probably made more money off of Helldivers than they probably made off of Sorrows, which is a first party game that just released this year. I mean, apples and oranges, because one's been out for over a calendar year and one just came out this year. But I guarantee you, when you look at the long spend horizon of those games and how much money a year from now that Sorrows, as much as it's a really good game, they probably made more money off a game like Helldivers.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, they did. Unfortunately, it's undoubtedly they made far more money off of Helldivers. I mean, not to mention Helldivers released on 3 platforms.
It,
You know,
exactly, and that's a whole
you know.
nother thing that we
But
need to.
even if Helldivers only released on PlayStation, it still probably would have done better than Sorrows. And it pains
Mhm.
me to say that, even though I think I like Returnal more than Sorrows. Sorrows is a great game. It's a
Mhm.
great game, and it's a hell of a challenge. It's a good story, a little bleak, but it's a good story. But it was the gameplay is just brilliant, and I don't know if it's just the roguelike genre intimidates people, or
Mhm.
people just they hear the words roguelike and they turn off, or they see it and they think it's too hard. I don't know, but it's such a shame. Like, I hear that it's starting to track better with sales, but I mean, I haven't seen, there's been no official numbers, I don't think. But it pains me to see that Housemarque is just, struggling to get their footing. But I think it at least made its budget back.
Yeah.
Hopefully it at least did that. Hopefully it at least made its budget back. And then, they're going into the black from there. But yeah, like, it's just painful to see a company, struggling to get footing. People always talk about they want new IPs and they want, something different, and they want PlayStation to try something different. And then you get a company like Housemarque. They are unlike any studio at PlayStation.
Mhm.
They really, both of their games with PlayStation have been new IP. They've both been new IP. What
Yeah.
people always ask for, and they can't they find success. So I mean, well, I shouldn't say they can't find success, because Returnal was considered a success, I believe, and Saros is still, there's still time for it to, continue to sell, but they just can't get that foothold to where they're selling, multiple million copies. So I
Mm.
don't know. I'm frustrated for them.
Right. Same. Same. All right. Anything else you want to say on this?
No, no. I mean, I really don't care about Halo anyway. So
All right. Let's move on to the next rapid fire. Oh, really? Pa, 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 pa. Oh, really? Pa, 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 pa. Yeah. All right. Um, we got to keep it balanced here, because we're equal opportunity haters, as people will probably say. We got to keep it balanced here. We talked about Xbox. Let's talk about PlayStation now. PlayStation. Sony Interactive has opted to block the purchase of Marvel token Fighting Soul on PC in 130 countries. The game cannot be purchased on Steam or the Epic Store, where PlayStation Network is officially unavailable. That doesn't, okay, on top of the fact that doesn't look good for a digital future, because you're making people, you're basically requiring people to log into the PlayStation Network in order to play these games. But PlayStation Network's not even available in these territories. So we've seen this before with the game we just talked about, Helldivers, and people made a huge fuss about it having to log into PlayStation servers to be able to play the games and stuff on it. And just to have the experience that everybody else has when it comes to the console side. Why does outside of everything else going on with Sony, why do they persist with this whole ecosystem of making people have to like log into their server to be able to partake in these PC games that it's a consistent thing where they know that they don't have, online infrastructure set up for their service to even be usable. Like, what do you think about this?
On the surface, it just seems irrational as hell. On the surface, it just seems so irrational. Like, why would you block out people who want to buy your game because they can't sign up for an account? And the only thing I can come up with is it's more dumb publicly traded company crap. Like,
Mm,
to me, this screams shareholders being able to show them monthly active users as well in addition to sales, and that's why they're requiring it. And even like, and so they can't just, not require companies that aren't able to do it, because then the countries that aren't able to do it, because then in the countries where they are able to establish an account, they're going to be like, oh, so it's a double standard, I have to do it, but because that country doesn't have PSN available, they don't have to do it. That's BS. And if they make it optional and try to do incentives, there are plenty of people, for whatever reason,
hmm.
will forego the incentive, whatever you make it, and not sign up for an account either. So the only way to definitively get that data, and that's what it is, dude. They want that data. The only way to do that is to force everybody to sign up for an account and leave all the countries that PSN isn't available out in the cold. Now, in a perfect world, this would blow up in their face, and the game wouldn't sell well, and then they drop it, and then the sales skyrocket. Now, I don't see that happening, but you never know. But it's, in my personal opinion, it is the dumbest thing. But I mean, apparently the data is worth more than the sales. Go make that make sense, because that is what it says to me, is the data is worth more than the sales. And when you have an account, you have access to their store, which means, you have there's the possibility of you buying games from the store. If you're on PlayStation, if you're on PC, you don't have access to the store, obviously, but they
Right.
want that data. It to me, it just looks like data, and they're willing to sacrifice sales for that monthly active user data, and it's just exhausting, dude. This monthly active user push with all this data driven shit, stuff, excuse my language, is really frustrating. I can only imagine like living in a country where, you don't have access to PSN, but you're a big fighting game fan, and you see Marvel Tokon Fighters and you are hyped for it, and you literally cannot play it. Even if you buy it on disc, you cannot play it because you don't have the ability to sign up for PSN. And then,
Right.
I mean, depending on the country, you know, maybe you can get a VPN, maybe you can't. But I'm just imagining like how much it would suck to be locked out of a game on a platform you own. You went to the store, you bought a PS5 or PS5 Pro, you own it, and there are literally PlayStation games you can't play on your PlayStation. Think about that. You bought a PlayStation, and there are PlayStation games that you can't play on your PlayStation. I would be very angry
Yeah.
if I was one of those people.
Yeah, because it's mostly just due in those areas, especially if you had a console, because you can still own a console, you just can't use the online services because you can't log into, and that would be across any of the games that are Like, you wouldn't even be able to actually, access the digital store in those areas. So I I kind of have less issue with that part, because if you make a decision that you know that PSN isn't available in your area and you still go out and buy a console with that knowing in mind, then at a certain point, I mean, that's kind of your fault. But when it
But
comes,
not necessarily, not necessarily though, man, because if you buy a console and you bought a okay, let's say the people who bought the console at launch, right?
yeah,
At launch, all the games coming out on PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken, did not require a PSN account.
that's true. That is very true. You're right.
So yeah, you bought it under that pretense, and now they're springing this on you now. Like you've
Yeah,
been
that's
buying every
true. That
PlayStation
makes
exclusive.
sense.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
true.
that's like, yeah, that's a kick in the gut, man.
Yeah, yeah. That is a kick in the gut. You're right. I retract on that, because now that I thought, but yeah, you're right about that, because all games didn't require that at the beginning. I mean, that's the whole new push towards MAUs ever since COVID and the rise of the digital marketplace being even bigger and more prominent than it is now. Everybody wants to flaunt off how many people are in their ecosystem, how many of this, how many of that, and that's just kind of been the growing part of the industry that everybody really wants to track. I just don't understand at a certain point. PlayStation, and not just PlayStation, every last one of these ecosystems really want as many people to play their games as possible. Then why are we putting barriers up?
Yeah,
There's a go ahead.
ridiculous barriers, man. Sorry, not
Yeah.
just
Yeah, no.
ridiculous barriers.
Yeah, why are we putting barriers up that restrict you from accessing this content? Like, I'd rather have more people buying and playing the games and not be able to track the people that are doing it, because they're not signed to they're not having to sign it to an arbitrary server to basically connect to other people, than track those people across a monthly average of users that play the games on a day-to-day, month-to-month, week-to-week basis. I would just think that you would bring in more revenue that way. But the biggest thing for them is they want to take that data, and they want to take it over to shareholders. They want to take it over to advertisement firms, and show how many people are actually playing, so they can get ad placement in certain parts of the UI, where they say, hey, we have 100 million people that cross this that see the PlayStation Store front page in a giving month. How much real estate do you want to pay for to be on that page? How much is it going to cost? It's all about dollars and cents at the end of the day. But when it takes away the fundamental ability for you to log in and play a game, and just to even purchase the game on a platform, and Sullivan has said in the chat, he says, without knowing the geopolitical reasons of the country, we don't know why PSN isn't really available there. I agree with that. But the thing is, it shouldn't even be a requirement. Like, the only requirement for PSN is to play online. Like, if you just want to play on the, like, if, let's say you get the game, you want to play, especially fighting games like that, and you want to play just against somebody, you don't have to be online to do that. You could just boot up the game and put an extra controller in, sign in, and just play against another person. Now, yes, if you want to play against people in the network, like people that are on PlayStation or people that are on other platforms, then yeah, I can understand. I can understand having the account then, but these people can't even purchase the game because they don't have an account, and they're not even purchasing it from PlayStation. They're talking about people purchasing it from the Steam store or the Epic store. Like, you can't even buy it on those platforms, because when you buy it, it's going to restrict you and have you log in, because it wants to tie it to a PSN account. Why?
Dude, it's like varying degrees of egregiousness. Like, it's bad enough not being able to buy it on Epic and Steam. That's bad enough. But it is inexcusable
Yeah.
for people who own a PlayStation to not be able to buy a PlayStation game, dude. it's not like PSVR where you own a PlayStation, you can't play PSVR because PSVR is a peripheral and there are games specifically made for that. We're talking about people who went to the store in 2020, 2021, 2022, all the way up to before Helldivers. They bought a PlayStation and they bought all the games that they wanted to buy. If they love PlayStation first party games, they bought all those. And now we get to this point and it's like, yeah, dude. Well, I mean, I know it sucks. It sucks to be you, but you can't buy this game on your. You can't buy this PlayStation game on your PlayStation because in your country you can't have an account.
Right.
Like I can't even wrap my mind around what company literally locks out their customers. You locked out your own customers because you want data. Like you locked out your own customers. Like it shouldn't like in my opinion, that shouldn't even be legal, dude. Like these people bought your platform and you're giving them the middle finger. And I'm not talking about this isn't like even though it seemed, a bit excessive with the people on Steam with Helldivers talking about they raised such a fuss about having to open up a free PSN account. Like, you know, I thought that was a bit overblown. Yes, it may be an annoyance, but it's a free account. But locking out countries that own your platform as well as countries where the game is available but they can't have an account. Like I don't it just I can't make sense of it. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. You're locking out your own customers. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. And you know what else is crazy? Our next topic. Oh really? Oh really?
Oh really?
Xbox console exclusives. Microsoft is basically stating multiplayer games will be available on more platforms and best played on the Xbox as in general. While big multiplayer games will still be available on all major platforms, Xbox will make more of its best titles exclusive to the Xbox, so gamers have a reason to buy its console. Ramon, I feel like I'm in a twilight zone. I feel like this is something that has always been a thing. Why do people buy consoles? Exclusive content. Initially, I am a huge fan of telling people that people buy consoles first for exclusives. That's what starts the generation. And then yes.
Forte, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
I just went back. I had to go and double check something.
Yes.
I think if you're on a PS5 console, you don't need a PSN account to play Marvel Tokon. I googled it and it says that you can play it offline without a PSN account. So I just wanted to correct.
It's just everybody else is buying it not on PlayStation
platforms. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll fall back. I wanted to double check that. So yeah, I fall back. You can do it on a PlayStation. You just can't on PC, which I mean is still, in my opinion, is still absolutely stupid. But at least if you own the platform, you can play it. So my fault, my bad. Apologies to the chat for that misinformation, but I just want to correct that.
No, that's why we're the number one podcast on the internet, because we fix our issues. We do it live too. We don't just like make another video and say I was wrong and leave the other one up. But with that being said, Xbox and exclusives. They're basically saying that they're betting on bigger titles to be exclusive, and they're going to use those to like bring people into their ecosystem. And multiplayer titles are going to be the ones that they're like just games that are like more multiplayer focused will be the ones that are going to be still multi-platform. Now, I feel like this has kind of always been a thing. They're just once again trying to state the obvious because they're trying to bring people back. Like, listen, I don't know how you feel about it. Ash out here working overtime trying to unravel Uncle Phil's job from the last 10 years, basically. And I don't even think he did a bad job. I think Phil gets a lot of slack for a lot of the things that he kind of had to do in order to like put Xbox in a position to even be where they are now. It's not in a great position, but I will still fight the fact that the people at the end of the day that are still more culpable for where Xbox is are still with the company. And they're not in the gaming side of it. They're on the board side of it, because
Yeah.
all of these decisions that Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond, all of these things that they decided that they felt like would be good for Xbox was greenlit by somebody with money. And if this wasn't a good idea, those people would not have greenlit that stuff. Hindsight is 2020 at the end of the day. So Asha's coming in and she's unwinding a lot of things. And exclusive games is one of them. Here's War E-Day was supposed to be an cross platform game. There was actually PC versions out there. I mean, a PC version. Well, there are definitely PC versions games out there, but there was actually PlayStation games out, a version of the game out there. There was actually a trailer that ended with a PlayStation logo at the end of it. That got cut out of the PlayStation State of Play because PlayStation
After they lied and said that
that it wasn't.
about Gears E-Day. Yeah.
Exactly. Clockwork Revolution, same thing. All of these games were all slated to go to other platforms too. And now I get it. I get that we are in the show me phase of the relationship with the Xbox fan. I got rid of my Xbox a long time ago because, you know, after a while, you just realize like the only reason you have your Xbox is just to say that you own it at this point. Do you really have to have it? Especially if you have a PC. Like that was it. Now, if I didn't have a PC that was capable of running all these games, I would have kept my Xbox. But there's no reason to hold on to a console when all of their games are available on a PC. Like literally, if you want to say
literally all of them.
So if you want to say anything that you're like, when they say this is an Xbox, your PC is technically an Xbox because every game comes out on it. You just got to have the ability to play those games in the way that you want to play them. So I will never say that not having exclusive games doesn't matter, because they do. That's the only reason I could get rid of my Xbox and still play all those games on PC. But I also think at the end of the day, is this going to be enough? Because they're kind of dealing with not the same situation in 2020, because 2020 was a completely different thing when we had, you know, people not, you know, being able to like go to work and stuff. And it just gaming in general was just a different place then. Now everything just costs more. Cost of living is up. Food is up. Some people have to like, it's at the point where some people literally have to pick, do I want to go out and eat, or do I want to, you know, pay bills? And I mean, anybody that's saying I want to go out and eat and pay bills, and you actually saying I want to go out and eat, is kind of, you're not thinking about the right things in life. I guess the better comparison would be, do I want to like let my light bill lapse for 1 month so I can buy this $100 game so I can have something to do, which I do know. I know some people that have done that before. They say, hey, I could just add, you know, they ain't gonna cut my lights off for missing 1 month. You know, I'll double up on the next month. It's crazy, but that's where we are right now. People are making crazy decisions to do all this stuff. So is it even gonna matter what Xbox does with their exclusive games when consoles are about to be 14 to 15? You know, let's be.
You already just hit my point. You just hit my point that I was getting ready to say.
Is it gonna even matter at the end of the day when consoles cost that much? I don't care where your games are available. I can't afford your console,
dude. Unless something dramatic happens by the time these next machines hit, this generation, I take that back, not this generation, the first half of this generation was the end of general multi-platform ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so before, like up to a couple of years ago, you can exclusives were a compelling way to get people to own a supplementary console.
Right.
My When I bought back when I still had my Series X, I bought my Series X as a supplemental console because they were finally making games that I wanted. And then the story of why I sold it, because Starfield was the at 30 frames was the final straw. And
With
then I
the
pulled
final
the
straw. We out of here,
yeah,
bro.
yeah. When they did that, I was like, all right, I'm done with y'all fools. My Nintendo Switch 2 is a supplemental console. I don't game on it very much because there are only specific games, but they're must-have games. Zelda is must-have for me. When
Mm-hmm.
Ocarina of Time remake
Facts.
comes out, I will be there.
Facts.
I needed a Switch, the original Switch for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Those games, and then the Bayonetta games. Those games are you know me being able to say this, they were must-haves. So I bought the platform for those. I I had to do some finagling, but I sold my Switch One with the Pro controller, and I sold a few other things in order to get a Switch 2, because up here the Switch 2, what did it launch at? I want to say the Switch 2 up here was like, after tax, it was something like $700 after
Yeah,
tax.
it was 450
Oh,
here.
yeah,
The
up
Mario
here.
Kart one was 500.
Yeah, see, that must be nice. And yeah, up here before the price raises, like when I bought it, by the time I did all the finagling, I think I only paid like $200 or something.
Okay, I
But
got you.
or like 150 or something like that. I had to do a whole lot of finagling, but yeah, it's like after tax, it's somewhere around $700 up here. So that, which is crazy. But
That's
yeah, dude,
wild.
like the times when we owned, all the platforms, that's coming to an end, dude. Even the most hardcore of the hardcore either can't do it or have to save way in advance to be able to do it as a responsible adult. So to stop rambling and bringing it back around, being the third place platform in popularity, um, even with some good exclusives out, is still going to be a hard sell for people who are entrenched in their platforms and would be buying your console as a supplementary. $1,000 is a tough sell for a supplementary console. That's not your primary platform.
Mm-hmm.
So I think these are the worst circumstances. They obviously, actually, I take that back. Well, Xbox doesn't have any control over it. Microsoft is part of the cause of all this problem. That's
Yes,
why
they
when
are.
Dome went on TV, Dome did that interview talking about, oh yeah, we're having challenges because of the memory shortage. It's like, you caused it.
You
I call
caused it.
Satya Dome. I call Satya Dome because I can't stand that fool.
You
But
caused
so
That's
when
wild.
Dome got up talking all that mess, is like he's part of the problem. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's having exclusives and being Xbox in this climate is, I don't know how well that's gonna go, man.
Yeah.
Because Helix is going, if they scrap Helix as it is now and bring it back as a traditional console like the PS6, it's still going to be a tough sell unless something dramatic happens. Because once you cross the $700 threshold, very few people are going to be able to own more than one console. And look how slow people have been to adopt into this new generation.
Mm.
And that's at $500, dude. And look, and they're still trying to get people off PS4
Yeah.
and Xbox One. So yeah, I don't think having exclusives is going to be as powerful as a lot of the Xbox faithful think it might be. And I suspect Asha also knows this, but they're trying to keep the hardcore that are also, let's face it, they're free marketing, right? They're trying to keep them on board so that hopefully, that'll be extra marketing for whenever they make this next move. But they may be trying to prevent an exodus. I don't know. But exclusives for them in this climate is not the answer. I don't believe.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing because I feel like the decision to move in this direction, i.e., they should have never left this position in the first place, is the right one. But the economics of it isn't. It just isn't right for them right now because they they you can't. This is the we always know the adage of those things like it doesn't take long to tear something down, but it takes a heck of a lot longer to build it back up.
It is
You
easier to tear down than to build. Yep.
Yeah, they've been tearing down the fact that you don't need a console, an Xbox console for years. Like
Yep.
2018, 2019. Like you don't just reverse that in an afternoon. You don't reverse that in a year. Like you
There's
have
so
to
much damage, brand damage.
it's so much. And then just like I said, I always said that there is so many different ways that you can promote the ideal of Game Pass and being able to play your games in other places and the best place to play and still convince people that Xbox is still the best place to play your games. I can still tell you, like, hey, you can play Gears of War E-Day on a PlayStation 5, but if you want the ultimate experience where you're going to get, faster patches, you're going to get, faster updates, you're going to get, being a Game Pass member, you're going to get exclusive items or exclusive events and stuff to kind of show people that, hey, if you play on Xbox, you're going to get more, but you still can play anywhere else. I think there's so many better ways you could have did that, but they just went the road of Hell's Fury. Just said, you don't need this, you don't need that. It's very detrimental to their overall hardware plans because like you always tell people, if they tell you, they tell you who they are, believe them. That's what they're telling you, that we don't need you on our console to make money from you. Go somewhere else. And what they figured and what they found out is they were absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong.
Yep.
They need, because I don't think they understood how much money they make off of all the third parties. Like we're gonna get to PlayStation in a minute.
Wow.
We're gonna get to PlayStation in a minute. The reason PlayStation, we're gonna get to them about this digital with physical and stuff, but the reason PlayStation can make a decision like this isn't because everybody is buying digital games, because we all found out that those numbers are cooked. It's more it's about half and half when it comes to like their mainline first party titles. Like the split isn't as big as 85% is what they saying it is. It's more like 40-60 or 55-50 when it comes to their first party titles. But the reason they're saying is, there's so much nuance to it. But the reason they can say 85% is because they got games that are available digital only. They got games that they got revenue coming in from places like Fortnite, Call of Duty, Apex Legends, all of these big, AAA, games that people are spending all this money in. And that is what's keeping them afloat when it comes to like their financial side of it. So they can do that. And guess what? Microsoft forgot about that part of it. They forgot that, bro, every time somebody boosts up their console, and even if they don't buy our game, anytime they buy anybody else's game, they make money off of it. Like free 30%.
The games, the subscriptions,
everything.
Like
every
peripherals.
time, everything. So it's like they forgot. And I was like, so no wonder you are like struggling to, make ends meet, which is kind of weird to say when you're talking about Xbox, because Xbox and Microsoft in general, struggling shouldn't even be in their vocabulary. You shouldn't struggle to maintain anything. Now there's balance sheets that need to be kept up with. There's, there's P&Ls that definitely need to be looked at. ABK, as much as people championed it, was the worst thing to happen to Xbox because it got the bookmakers looking at the books and they said, "Hey,
Yeah,
these
they
books don't
attracted the
make
eye of
sense.
sorrow.
Yeah,
Eye of
these
Sati.
yeah, these
The
books
eye of,
don't make sense." Dom was like, "Where's the money?"
yep.
So,
They're like, wait, hold up. You spent how much?
how much?
Hey, and then this is when they waggle their fingers. Hey, over
Mhm.
there on the desk, bring me that book. Oh, well, no. Bring me the book. And then they opened the book, and then it got real warm in that office.
Yeah,
Folks
right.
started loosening their ties and unbuttoning their collar of their shirt because it got real warm.
Yep.
Office.
Exactly. So that's
Man,
that's
I've been
kind of
through that.
the situation that's at hand. And since we're there, let's that was our last rapid fire. Let's just get into these main topics. And while we're talking about Xbox, let's just talk about the shakeups that's been still consistently happening at Xbox. Like we found out from Asha, about the actual breakdown of, how studios are going to be, 4 studios, were basically relocated. 2 of them, and Capotion and what's the names? Psychonauts. What is the name of that studio?
Double fine.
Double Fine. They got spun off to their own, being independent again and kept their IPs and everything. Um, Ninja Theory got they're going to be purchased. They haven't named who the purchaser are. Same thing with Undead Labs. Same thing. They're going to get repurchased. And well, not purchased. They're going to get purchased by a third party entity who's going to, move forward with the company. And Arcane is kind of the only wild card in this whole situation because they have to go
They have to go
through
through the
they got to go
process.
they got to go through the process being in France, and we don't know if we don't this is the thing, we don't think it's going to be a shuttering of that studio. I think that studio is still going to be under Microsoft. I think there are going to be a bunch of layoffs and they still got to go through this process just due to layoffs. I just think it's going to be more of a smaller studio with a smaller footprint that might just be somewhat of a support studio under Microsoft. But who really knows, because that's like a situation that's still panning itself out. Now, the biggest thing I want to ask you is Asha came out and she talked about all of this stuff that was happening. She talked about, it was Monday. Yeah, Monday. Was that Monday this week when that happened? If I remember correctly.
Um, I think yeah. I
Yeah, it
think
was
it was
Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, it was Monday. Yeah, it was Monday. And she came out and said it. And I feel like it was probably the realest I've ever heard a person speak about the business of Xbox in forever. Like very, I won't say cold hearted because I do think there was a little bit of sadness in there because of the things they had to do. But this also goes back to the fact that me, you, and Slomo talked about a while ago. She has no skin in the game. Yes, she probably cares about having to let people go and making, hard decisions that she probably shouldn't have to make. But she doesn't have any attachments to this. So she could just say how it
Because
is and just
I
move.
think it's more than that. I think it's more than that too.
What do you think?
I think, and this is just my guess, I think that in addition to that, if that's the case, but I also think it's this. She has to come in and do some drastic stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, she is doing the equivalent of pulling the drawer out and pulling out a big drawer full of tangled wires and untangling all those wires. And she has to throw a bunch of them away to put it, and that's a callous way to put it. So I shouldn't put it that way. But as far as, an analogy, but by her saying, look, this is what's going on, this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong, we're just not healthy. What it does is it puts the heat off of her because now people can't say, man, she came in here and she did this and she gutted that, blah, blah, blah. No, she told you. She's like, look, this, and this right here is strangling the company. This right
Mm-hmm.
here is a cinder block around our necks. And then she can just hold her hands up and be like, look, here's the facts. That's what it is.
That's
So
what it
now
is.
you can't come at her and say, and when I say you can't come at her, it's like she doesn't care what what general people like us think. But it what it in her by her being transparent, she's being transparent because these are all mistakes that she did not make. So
Yep.
she's not the one that looks bad by telling it like it is. But by her telling it like it is, what it does is it gives her it gives her a better she doesn't look bad by doing the things that she needs to do. We may not like that, these layoffs are coming, they're trimming back the studios and everything, but by her laying out everything that is, you can't you can't look at her and say it's her fault. She's coming in and trying to clean up a big mess. So I think that's, in my opinion, that's probably the main reason why she's so transparent. If it had been her that had made all those mistakes, I don't think she would have been as candid. But she has some very undesirable tough decisions to make that she is making, and you know laying it out all like it is, takes some of that heat off, because I mean,
So yeah,
you see the
what
times.
one of my one of my favorite lines that I think a lot of people kind of missed in her statement was the part at the end where she says, I want Xbox to be one of the few companies that entertains more than 1 billion people each day and gets everyone the opportunity to create and connect. I know we can achieve this goal. Xbox has many of the most beloved franchises in entertainment history, talented studios around the world, and will return to growth in 2027. Now, the thing that people missed in that, when she says 2027, you do realize that we're in the fiscal year of 2026. This fiscal year does not end until June of next year. So she is telling you that it's going to be a bad year for Xbox this year. But next year, when the reset happens in June of 2027, that's when you're going to see basically all the wheels in motion to a profitable, more standardized, more nimble, growing side of what Xbox is going to be. It is just the way she broke down all of the different, all the things from the content release, how they had 14 levels of management. Like, bro, nobody can operate. Can you imagine being on a set and you got you got a director, assistant director, an assistant producer to the director, a producer, and how many lines of people you got to go through just to get makeup changed probably at that point?
Oh, dude, it's like I can't even wrap my mind around that many layers of management. Like, hey, imagine the pitch process. Hey, so my team and I, we have this idea for a game, and it's this and this. Oh man, that sounds great. Okay, so I'm on board. I just got to go take it to Jason. Hey Jason, they got this idea for blah blah blah. Oh man, that sounds fantastic. All right, I'm gonna go to Emilio, and then you make it through you make it through 9 layers of management, and then you get to number 10, and they're like, yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like that.
Or let's say
Right?
you make it all the way to 13 levels of management and they're all on board, and you make it to number 14 and they're like, nah. Imagine how much time would have gone by before you even get an answer and you can start.
Yeah.
14 layers. That is insane. I've never even heard of anything like that.
Yeah.
14 layers. Dude. Imagine trying, like, imagine all of these studios waiting to get word on anything. Like, that just sounds nightmarish, dude. That sounds nightmarish.
Yeah. It's just when you 18 layers. So she talked about where's the line? Oh yeah, right here. So they want to reduce complexity in layers down from 14 layers down to 5, 3 if possible in other areas. So I think when she says that, you're also talking about the fact that you have Bethesda and Activision that have their own layers of management inside of
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah.
those are the ones that they're mostly speaking to, having 5, like getting it down to 5 layers. But, you know, it's still going to be the traditional setup that those studios are still functional entities, subsidiaries of Xbox themselves, but then there's still, you know, management there. But then, you know, I always said the side of Xbox that needed the less complexity is the side that is underneath Matt Booty in general. So why do we have so many layers of communication? And, you know, at the end of the day, it really comes down to consistency. It's always been consistency with Xbox. It's like, you know, we love that people pitch their passions and wanted to make these games, but at the end of the day, is it the right thing for what Xbox needs right now? You know, they gotta triage the console at this point. Like, how do you fix a situation that has been broken for a decade? And then supposedly she's only got 3 to 4 years to do it. And, you know, I do think that whole spin off Xbox into its own thing is a real thing. It just really comes down to how fast they can actually they can do that. But another thing that really is troubling about it is the fact that they're finally going to have a chief operating officer that's going to operate the P&L under Xbox. Like, you didn't have a financial guidance counselor basically to like track the money in and the money out that you were spending. So all of this time that these studios were working on all of these games, they were just burning capital.
They were just winging it, burning capital with nobody to hold,
with no
any
oversight.
kind of financial oversight. That is wild to me.
And that's why Amy Hood probably got as pissed off as she was. Because you know what? Now when you start thinking
all of
about
those people that feel hired and they didn't have that the most crucial person.
Exactly. They didn't have that and that lets you know, when you think about the layers of complexity that they had in management, think about how many more layers they had to go through just for Amy Hood to get to the point where she even seen it. It took a $69 billion acquisition for Amy Hood to even see what was happening at Xbox, because she has so many other parts, because she's over the financing of all of Microsoft. So she's looking at financial books from everywhere, and Xbox is like a line item because it wasn't making as much money. It was like there, but it wasn't, it was like very minuscule. But remember the first time when the first quarter that they got the revenue underneath their books for ABK, and the Xbox brand was named at the table because they were up 64% in revenue in that quarter. And they didn't say Windows or services were up 64%. They said Xbox was up 64%. Because Activision's numbers hit the books for that year. And then that's when Amy Hood started looking at the numbers like, wow, how can we keep repeating this? And how do we do this? And how we do that? But then when they go and look at the numbers even deeper, like, shoot, we're going to have a hard time getting underneath all the other studios that you got over there. So that's the thing that it took. It took $69 billion for Amy Hood to even see it. So the fact that you didn't have this person in place the whole time to like manage the friction between delays and just time spent on their games, like, honestly, probably there's a lot of games that probably never saw the light of day that probably should have got canceled years before they got canceled that we didn't even know about, because they were just taking too long to make them. I think that is one of the biggest things that they needed to really dive into. And the last thing, and I think the most impactful line inside of her statement was, for every dollar they invested, they lost 64 cents on every dollar.
That part was crazy work, man. That's crazy work.
I was like, what? You lost 64% of every dollar?
That's crazy.
That's
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 crazy.
a, I can't even comprehend. If I give you a
Dude, how
dollar,
does
you give me
anybody
35 cents back. I can't.
like how does anybody keep their job under those conditions? That's wild. That to me shows like I feel like the fact that they still existed under those conditions to me paints a mental image of after ABK put them on the radar, Satya and or not Satya, Amy was like Activision Blizzard, and then she looks at the person next to her and is like, "What's that?" And they're like, "Oh, that was the purchase from Xbox." Like Xbox. Oh, is that gaming company that we own? Yes, ma'am. Oh, and then she looks deeper, like only a company that's flying so far under the radar that they probably forgot they even owned Xbox. Like I'm being facetious, but it seems like they must have forgot they even owned Xbox for them to be allowed to operate under those types of conditions. 64 cents lost for every dollar spent. That's crazy, dude. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was just crazy work when I saw that. I was like, so before we move over to the last topic and we talk about PlayStation, what is what do we see, just in the direction that Xbox is moving? Oh, we didn't even talk about it. Well, let's talk about that real quick because we
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
we kind of spoke on that a little bit during the other parts, but I feel like all of this stuff was like the icing on the cake where the id stuff came out after the fact and it was like we're not closing
Let's
she
talk about
said
the
we're not
studio a
closing
little.
studios, we're not shutting down any projects, but you literally decimated one of probably one of your most important studios out there, especially when it comes to it. Like, my opinion is, did they just do this so they wouldn't lose id tech? Is that why they didn't spin them off into another incinerate, like to someone else? Did they sell them like they did Ninja Theory and Undead Labs? They didn't want to
I
lose that. They didn't want to lose the proprietary engine that they were working on. But my question, if that's the case, you let everybody go that was working on that engine. Who's there that even knows how to work it?
Okay, so I first before I go to that, I want to jump back because
Yeah, go ahead.
one thing about the whole studio thing, real quick, it feels like a double-edged sword with the studios that they either like so for Compulsion and Double Fine. I'm happy for them because for a couple reasons. Like they're not out of the woods yet because they got to ship a game and actually make it a success. It could have been a lot worse. I'm glad that they get to continue to exist and they have all their IP back and they were granted funding to finish their next projects. Now, I think that's a best case scenario out of a horrible scenario. So I'm happy for them. At least they get to exist, long enough to ship their next project, and hopefully it's a success, and then they can keep going. So we'll see what happens, but at, you know, at least they still exist. Moving to id, of all the studios that are and aren't producing, id is like so. Doom: The Dark Ages didn't sell as well as, I mean, I want to say it should have, but I haven't played it yet, so can't say it didn't sell as well as it should have. It didn't sell as well as it could have, and everything I've seen about Doom: The Dark. Okay, I'll put it like this: when they first revealed Doom: The Dark Ages, I'm not an FPS. I'm not a big FPS for person. I play them, but I'm not a really big, first person shooter guy.
Right.
The Doom: The Dark Ages, when they did that whole breakdown and how the feel from 2016 to Eternal and then to Dark Ages, that sold me on Doom. I went and bought 2016 and Eternal on PC for like practically pennies on the dollar, and Dark Ages is sitting in my wish list waiting for when I finish the first two.
Hmm.
That is a top studio, and the Game Pass did not do it any favors. I mean, I don't know how it sold on PC, and I know it didn't do that great on PlayStation. But I mean, by and large, PlayStation isn't really the platform for that. I don't know how Eternal did in 2016,
Right.
but like the fact that you just said it, the fact that you would cut so much out of a premier studio that has in-house tech. How many people are left, like you say, that know how to use it? And part of the cost cutting measure is to use your own proprietary engines. That's smart.
Hmm.
PlayStation does it with Decima engine. Sucker Punch has their engine, I believe. It makes sense because you have your own proprietary engine. You don't have to pay anybody else royalty or whatever the fee is called for it after you reach a certain dollar amount. But you don't gut this. You don't chop off a bunch of the studio that knows how to use the tech.
Right.
And if they want to do their standard thing of hiring contractors, so you don't have to pay ongoing this, that, and the third, then you're still back to the same problem because you're trying to bring people in, train them, and get them up to speed, and then ship the game versus having a complete studio full of people who know how to do this and know how to work together.
Right.
So I'm like the id thing makes no sense to me. Out of everything they could have done, I do not understand why id would be one of the ones that got so many layoffs.
Yeah.
They have
That.
their own engine, like they have their own engine and people who know how to use it.
Hmm.
Like how much fat was on the bone at id or to begin with? Like
Right.
like what are they like? How many people are left, and how are they going? Like, what size will the project have to be for them to be able to ship it at any reasonable time frame with
Mm.
the people that they cut?
Interesting. No, you're right, and I think at the end of the day, it really just comes down to they find more value in what it had as basically a studio that had proprietary technology that they can use still across other games, even knowing even knowing that they let go the people that know how to use it.
That
Um,
is crazy.
which is crazy, but they find more benefits in that than having a studio like Ninja Theory stick around that has an amazing capture studio. Because
Yep.
I thought the thing that would keep Ninja Theory around was the capture studio of
It's
all
the capture
things.
studio. Yep.
Yeah, like
That's what I would have thought.
that's what I would have thought. Like you could have used that capture studio for like shoot, they could have sent, I could have seen like Coalition doing Gears of War 6 capture work inside that studio. The things that you're supposed to do, have studios help other studios with things that they need to, especially if Ninja Theory wasn't going to be a studio that or if it wasn't going to be a studio that you were going to like really use to fundamentally make games on a consistent basis, then they could have became a studio that could have helped with technology that would have been able to broaden the horizon of other studios too.
I'd
I
love
feel like
to.
I just feel like there's other things you can do. Like, yes, I understand they make Doom, they make Wolfenstein. They don't make those games that often. But when they're not making them, I still feel like there's a use for them. And even if that's the case, I feel like these companies they're afraid to let their instead of letting their developers go, they're afraid to let them go to other places to help out. Guess what? I guarantee you all of these people that were at id would have loved to go to another studio to help work on a second game or work on another game since it software wasn't working on anything in general. Like, hey, like we're gonna green light id to make a game in 2027, but right now we gotta focus, because of the state of what Xbox is in right now, we can't greenlit it right now, but we want to keep the talent around. So let's move the
So go
talent
help out over
around.
here.
yeah, let's move the talent around to have them work on help another studio work on some things in this studio just to keep, instead of hiring
Like, I don't
contractors.
know. How about Halo?
But,
Hey,
right.
why don't you guys go help out on Halo?
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
it's not like they make first person shooter games, right?
yeah, yeah, right. So there's different ways that they could have softened this blow. But once again, this is the side, and I see a lot of people on the other side coming down on Asha about being fake sincere about this. I just think that it's an impossible situation. She's only going to deal with it the way she knows how to deal with it, and that's just to be blunt and swift with it. So she's going to make these decisions that's going to happen and have to move. The fact that id Software is not going anywhere still lets you know that there's a future for it. I just don't think it makes sense in what you're doing right now versus what you already did, because I feel like the best people that know how to work on that are already there. Why would I bring other people in? And this goes back to the whole conversation with Sony and Bungie. If you were ever, and this is why I don't think a Destiny 3 is going to happen. If you were going to make a Destiny 3 at some point in the future, you're not going to lay off the whole team that made Destiny 2. The people that know how to make Destiny 2. You're not going to lay those people off. You're not going to lay off the dungeon team and the raid team and all of these
The whole
different
reason they overpaid for Bungie was to retain the
to
talent.
retain the talent.
Uh,
So
yeah, so
that's like the same thing. And I don't, but
yeah.
at the end of the day, it's about money, and I get that too. But I just feel, sometimes you're $1 billion company, Xbox, Microsoft's $1 trillion company. So money isn't an issue. I guess it's at a point where they just want the spending under control. And unfortunately, that's kind of what happened with it. It just doesn't make any sense that this is what's happening to them, because I feel like the resources could have definitely been used in other places.
Yeah. Of all the studios, like, do you know how big it was? Because it didn't strike me as this gigantic team, like, to begin with. So I mean, they're shipping games like they shipped. I feel like they shipped Eternal before they were owned by Xbox, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so during the Xbox Series generation, after they were owned by Xbox, they shipped Doom: The Dark Ages,
Yep.
and they're shipping this DLC that is the size of a whole new game. Uh, it's launching what in like the next like did it launch already? I think it might have launched already.
Which game?
So the DLC Dark
Oh,
Ages DLC that's
it launched the next day, right after it launched the next day after this announcement that happened at
oh,
id. So
which is
it
freaking
announced
wild.
yesterday.
Launching launch a game and then this happens. So I mean they've launched two full length games. Even if it's a DLC, it's still like the size of a game. So they've launched two games during the series generation. That's acceptable. That's acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
And they're producing. They didn't take 7 years to release a 4-hour game. You know what I mean? Like, they're producing, and just like with Obsidian, who's been producing, like, they may not have been like mega blockbuster hits, but the thing is they're producing, and they're not producing low quality stuff. I mean, I don't know, man. I can't. That's I get that they need to trim down Xbox because Xbox is bloated. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Xbox is bloated. They need to slim down because the past regime is like, well, we'll buy them and we'll buy them. We'd love to buy Nintendo. It's like, okay, dude, like, can you get off, put the blunt down, dude. Like, get off the drugs. Stop trying to buy the entire industry, because the past regime seemed like they wanted to just buy the industry up. Like, that spoiled rich kid who's like, I'll buy it if I can't have it.
Right.
Like, you're too young to get into this club, sir. Okay, well then I'll just buy the club because my dad will give me the money. Like that they just seem like the spoiled rich kid who just buy their way through everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I get that she's trying to unravel all that and slim it down, but at the same time, dude, like, there must be. I don't know if there's maybe she's seen. Obviously, she sees things that we don't because we're on the outside speculating. But of all the entities, id Software would have been one of the last ones I would have expected to get hit like this. I mean, there's a Wolfenstein movie or a show coming out, so obviously they would hope to get a game out to coincide with that. But I don't know that id. I can't make sense of that. I can't make sense of it.
No, I can't either.
Like
I
id and
can't.
Obsidian, in my opinion, are their two big ones that I would like. I guess corporate wise, Obsidian, I could see some of it, but because their last games, outside of what do you call it, Grounded, didn't do great. The Outer Worlds, which I mean, to me, it looked like a quality title. It's on my wish list to get. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But to me, Outer Worlds looked quality, and from everything I've heard about it, and I heard Slow Mo talking about it, it
It's
sounds like a
fun.
really quality game. Yeah, it just didn't do well, you know, for I think one of the big things that sabotaged it was they sent it out to die at $80. Like of all the games
Oh yeah,
to
yeah.
make $80, so they did that. It had that working against it, And then Avowed, like I got my own personal issues with Avowed. I haven't played it, but Avowed, I felt catfished with Avowed because it was not what they initially advertised it to be, and I never got over that, so I never bought it.
Right.
But they've been producing, and they've been producing a lot this generation. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Of all the things to trim down, is just those. I don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
that was a good segue, sir. Because of all the things to shut down, how the heck does PlayStation shut down physical media? And how does the first thing to come out of their mouth after not 6 days of silence, a fight stick? How, 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 Ramo, you have to make sense of this for me. Literally, the internet is burning. But it's like literally the meme of the dog sitting in the fire saying it's fine. Everything's
Yeah,
burning.
in the middle of the house on fire.
The
Like,
house
it's
is so
fine.
it's fine. It's not even hot in here. And the first tweet back,
Fight stick.
a fight
They didn't even
stick.
acknowledge.
I was like, bro, this is diabolical, bro. They said we not even gonna we gonna act like we gonna act like you ain't even, no one said anything. We gonna act like there was no community post, no comments. We gonna act like that tweet that we put out didn't have 172 million people watch it. We ain't gonna act like there was 103 comments on that tweet. We just gonna move on, and we're gonna say, hey, our new fight stick has levers that you can change with one finger. I can't lie. When I saw it,
Dude, I
I
laughed.
laughed. I laughed so hard. I was like, this is like the biggest middle finger I've ever seen a company do to somebody. Not even to somebody, to a whole community of people that said, this is BS. And I guess I'll go first. My thing is, they are basically telling people that this is how it's going to be and it's not going to change. And it's been 3 days since then. And all we've been getting is videos of upcoming games, videos of just different, like, it seems like regular scheduled videos that they had to release for their partners, their second and third party partners, about things that they have as on PlayStation. And they give no F's right now. And there's been a lot of people speculating and a lot of people coming out talking about how the how they're basically standing by the power of the brand and how the brand will withstand this. They didn't expect it to be this they didn't expect the backlash to be this fierce, but they feel like this will pass. And I almost agree with them on this. Now, I do think that it's going to be a little bit more different for this one, but I don't know. Well, before I get into that part, tell me what are this whole saga for the whole week with PlayStation and physical media. What do you think now after everything that's come out this week?
So this is such a multi-layered thing. Like a lot of people kind of diminish it and reduce people that are genuinely outraged about it as just being, stupid. This has been coming a long time. Why are people upset? Blah blah blah. And there's so much. There's so many layers to this. A lot of people are upset because it's potentially removing options. Until we get word otherwise, it's removing buying options and it's placing too much power of sale with Sony. Second, there are people who are genuinely collectors,
Mm-hmm.
and it sucks for them. And I get it. It's the business side of it, but there are people who are collectors. Also, people who live in places that have not great internet. Even in the US, we don't even have to travel outside the US for that.
Nope.
There are people who don't have great internet. This is going to suck for them. There are people who are concerned about this because of game preservation. I can tell you, I'll give you a first-hand account. When I bought my Series X, I went and hunted down because I wanted to play Forza. I wanted to play all of the Forza, and this was right before Forza Horizon 5 came out. I uh, I went and I hunted down the first four Forzas on disc. Forza Horizon 4 was still available at the time, but I hunted down and got copies of Forza Horizon 1, 2, and 3. And fortunately, I got to play them all. That never would have happened if it was all digital because those games are delisted.
Yep.
Because the license, I think, is only what, 6 years because of the music license. Those games are delisted. So
Yeah.
in this all digital future, I never would have gotten to experience those games. There are games that you see YouTube channels that talk about, older games or, games you may have missed and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh crap, I've never even heard of that. When did that come out? When I talk to E all the time about games, he's like, hey man, have you ever seen this? And I'm like, oh crap, no, I've never seen that. When did that come out? He's like, oh man, that came out like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Oh man,
Mm-hmm.
let me go check it out. And if it's digital, I grab it, on PC. But
Right.
there are games that you can't find anymore that are delisted that you can get on disc that you can discover. So it's a game preservation thing as well. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why people are upset about this. Um, Bringing it back around, I don't like it. I don't. I'm trying to see every side of it. Like we know it's a foregone conclusion that everything was going to go digital. Did it have to go digital right now? My my first inclination is to say no because we've seen some of with the Insomniac leaks. That's old data, granted, but I still think there's enough of the market there that could still support it. But
You know how many
one thing that
copies, while you say that, you know how many copies today when I was at work today, we sold of Assassin's Creed Black Flag and how many copies of NCAA Football 27 on just PlayStation alone? We had, I believe, 40 copies of NCAA in the store today with pre-orders and everything. And I think we had close to, I think 38 copies of Assassin's Creed sold out of all of them. We didn't have none
wow,
sitting, sold out of every physical copy we had by the time I left.
and
And
that's just one store.
that's just one store.
And that actually reminds me too. Uh, I can't remember what show I can't remember where I heard it, what show I heard it on, but they were talking about like Resident Evil, the most recent one. What is it, 8? And they were saying that they were planning to buy a digital, I mean buy a physical, and they couldn't find it. And they went to several stores and they were all sold out.
Yeah. That game was hard to
So
find.
like it was hard to find physically. So I mean that also skews numbers in favor of digital because if you're only printing so many copies and then people can't get it, and if they're like, well, I want to play it now, I can't find it in any stores at all. Well, I guess I'm just gonna have to buy it digital
Mm-hmm.
or however long until they get more physical copies in. But for PlayStation to A, give an 18-month lead up, and B, commit to this so completely that they are already retraining and retooling these facilities that produce these physical copies into a different function makes me wonder what they see or have seen that makes them believe that by 2028 the market is going to be so decisively in that direction that they're going to go ahead and nuke it now and make the announcement now and nuke it by 2028 because like no company is just going to walk away from money, and
Right.
I'm saying this a week removed after I've gotten all the emotions out because I'm still not happy with them about it at all, but I'm trying to look at it from a money side of it first before I go into my consumer side. They're not going to just throw money away. So this something makes them think that by 2028 they need to be have cleaned their hands of it, dusted their hands off of it, and have moved on. So I don't know what they saw or what they see or what they believe, but it must be something really convincing for them to make that announcement now for over a year and a half into the future. Um, Obviously, I mean, we've seen the percentage breakdowns of how much they take home digitally versus physically after the cost of creating the discs, the plastic, the shipping, the stocking in stores, the stores getting their cut of the sales, and so forth and so on, versus it just being a digital sale on their store. It's obviously
Mm-hmm.
a much bigger cut. Um, so they must have seen something convincing. Uh, on the and I digress a little bit, but on the consumer side, this is an emotional hobby. It's there's a lot wrapped up in it beyond just the game. It's an emotional hobby. There's people's childhood wrapped up in it and all of that, and none of that equates to corporate decisions, obviously. But I think it's a balance that I hope they have right because, you know, yeah, on the corporate side, you're dealing with dollars and cents, and at the end of the day, you got to make moves that make financial sense. But there's a balance to pushing your consumer, poking your consumer so far to the point where they're like, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm done. And there's a psychological balance and emotional balance that they have to walk. And, you know, 100 million people seeing a tweet and probably the majority of them not liking it.
Oh,
I don't know. Like we know it's going that way. Was it going to hit that way by 2028? I want to say no, but what did they see? What data have they seen or are they seeing that has them so thoroughly convinced that they made this announcement now for 2028, which is also probably when they're going to launch PS6?
so you want to know what made that date? You want to know what data they saw? The data they saw is the fact that they don't want to have a situation in 2027 when they finally announce the PS6 and they tell them it ain't got a disk drive on it and that all the games are digital. They want to set that run weight up now so people can get
Yeah.
it out of their system now. So all they got to do is just release the system or talk about the system, announce it, all the features it's going to have. Everybody knows that digital is completely done with before they even talk about anything the PS6 is going to have, and that will be not a talking point. That is why this announcement is made now. And that is why it is the most asinine thing in the world, because I agree with you. And I talked about this last week a lot about a lot of the outrage, people that are outraged about this happening. Like, we didn't know this was going to happen at some point in the future. We knew this was going to happen. But the difference in that is I still don't agree with it. I still don't agree that this is a decision they want to make. But I do disagree with some of the people's takes on why it's happening, because a lot of people are out here, talking about it's happening because PlayStation wants to be greedy and all these other things. No, they want, yeah, they're greedy. They want to get as much money as possible. I definitely agree with that. But I think it's just more nuanced than that. I just think at the end of the day, the numbers are what the numbers are. People have been speaking with their wallets for years. The more and more people spend money on digital goods, the more and more you're telling corporations that you do not care about what you own. And I'm going to tell you where I made the biggest change in my life when it came to gaming. 2025, I put over, I don't even want to say the number. I put a lot of money into College Ultimate Team. I love college football. I put so much money into it, playing the Ultimate Team. And it got to the end of the year, and I realized, and it's something I always knew, but it took an epiphany for me to like really super realize it. The end of the season was coming up, and they were promoting 26, which was last year's. 27 just came out today. And I was looking, and I was like, dang, all of this money I spent at Ultimate Team, none of it goes forward into the next game. None of the players that I bought, none of the cards that I got, none of it. None of the stats or anything for any of the people that I paid for, none of that goes forward. And the thing is, I always knew that, but you're always stuck into like this euphoric wave of, I just love playing the game. And you just, it's like the fear of missing out. FOMO kicks in. Go ahead.
No, I was saying you don't think about it.
Yeah, you don't.
You said you don't really think about it.
No, you don't. And then it got to the end of the year, and I was like, much money did I spend on this? And none of this is going forward with me. So I told myself that day, and this is where my pivot into Pokemon came from, because I have a very addictive personality. I like collecting things. And that was kind of what Ultimate Team was, collecting cards of players and stuff that I could use in the game and, help myself have a better team and everything like that. I like that type of ecosystem and playing in it. But I just couldn't validate that in a game where I own nothing. So I pivoted, and I always loved Pokemon. And I said, you know what? There was a lot of cards coming out. One of my friends showed me some stuff, and my favorite Pokemon was in one of the sets. And I said, you know what? If I'm going to spend money on an asset that is a tangible thing, it's going to be on something that has value at the end of the day. And if I want to get rid of it, I can. So I pivoted into Pokemon for the last, year and a half now. And it's the greatest thing I ever did. Now, the whole market in general is something completely crazy because Pokemon has went nuclear in the last year. But it's just a simple fact that when you sit back and you think about why people spend the money, the way their money is for convenience. You go, like, people can, like, all those people, like when you talk about Resident Evil. And I had this conversation with people when they were looking for Resident Evil. I told people then, I said, listen, retailers are not ordering more copies of games than they have to because you're not showing them that it's a demand for it. Like the days of going into a store and seeing 50 copies or 200 copies of Madden is over. They'll probably order, like if you have 50 pre-orders on it, they'll probably send you 75. So 25 extra people can get lucky and buy it. Call of Duty might have a bigger runway because it's Call of Duty. They know that it will sell over the holidays too. So if you order like 200 of them and 100's pre-order, they expect that other 100 to go at sometimes during the holidays. But games like Sorrows, if you only pre-order 7, you might only get 10 copies of it. Maybe 20 copies at most. And what's going to happen when you sell out of it? All these people are going to be walking into the store. Oh, you don't have it anymore? No. Did you pre-order it? Nope. Why not? See, I think, and that's another thing people got to, and and this isn't a telling people they should pre-order things because you don't even have to pre-order digital. But at the end of the day, these people complain about things that they knew would happen, and now that it's a situation that is finite, that has a expiration date on it. Now everybody's upset about it. And I don't disagree with them being upset about it. I just wish they would have did something about it when they had the chance to do it. You know, when you had a chance to like say, well, digital ownership is, you know, digital games is cool, but I like ownership of my games. It's that even if you fought for the fact that you wanted more of a digital ownership on your games in general, where you could still buy back, sell, and trade your games. Like Xbox has been working on that for a while. And that was part of the original Xbox One plan, where you could, the always online DRM, it was allow you to do the check-in, but you could also sell back your digital library to Microsoft or trade your games to other people for a fee. That was all part of that ecosystem. Hint, the thing that they're actually talking about right now when it comes to new features that they're trying to build into the Xbox Helix, where those are things that they talked about in 2013, 13 years ago. So it's all coming full circle. It's just really interesting to see Sony take this massive stand, because what they're betting on is you're not going to do anything. You're still going to buy a place. You're still going to play on PlayStation 5. You're still going to buy Grand Theft Auto, which is going to make more money for us in a generation than we made in the last 2 generations combined. You're still going to buy a PS6, even knowing it's digital when it comes out. What are you going to do? Go to Xbox? You're going to go buy an Xbox and play on Xbox? Oh, what, you going to go to PC and play on PC? They're daring people. And then the biggest talking point that's been happening lately is, and it kind of makes sense, if PlayStation was willing to make this move when 15 to 20% of their market was still physical, they're basically telling you that if that market doesn't stay with us and stay physical, and they don't want to come to PlayStation, they just want to go they want to go somewhere else, they're basically telling you they don't care. Because they made this decision with your money not even in the equation, because they're saying we're doing this off of the 80% of people that are buying their games digitally and stuff on our platform now, or spending, or revenue wise, spending 80% of the revenue on our system. Your 20%, yeah, is it going to matter? Yeah, we would like to have it, but we're banking on the fact that you're just going to fall in line and going to just come on over. Or if you don't, it's really not going to affect us because we made this decision with the 80% in mind, not the 100% in mind. So it's very unfortunate, the situation that we find ourselves in, because I don't believe gamers they don't have the patience to stand up to this, I believe. And I hope I'm wrong, because me personally, I'm not buying a PlayStation 6. There's no reason for me to. As much as I love God of War, I will not buy the next God of War if it's on when it's on PlayStation 6, because they're basically putting a middle finger up to everybody right now saying, what are you going to do? I'm like, okay, fine by me. I don't have to play your game. Yes, I will miss out playing the next God of War game if they don't bring it to PC. That's fine. And I will be sad for that. But I have to stand on my own business on that, because I did the same thing with Microsoft. When Microsoft didn't give me the ability to do the things on the console that I wanted anymore when it came to exclusive games, and they said you could play them on PC, I said, okay. I went over to PC and I traded in my Xbox. You're telling me that I have no choice in where I buy my games. Even Steam gives me a choice in where I buy my games. I could buy them off of Green Man Gaming. I could buy them off CD Keys. I could buy them in a whole bunch of different places cheaper than you can sell them to me yourself. I barely buy a game through the Steam marketplace unless it's a Steam sale.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I have that benefit. So if PlayStation is not going to give me the benefit of allowing me to buy games how I want to buy them and play them how I want to, and I feel like that statement was the most asinine thing that they said at the bottom, where they kept talking about choice. What choice? You took choice away. This is a subtraction to choice. You're saying the economics, and so we can serve the economics of the player base, of the majority of our player base. Okay, understood. But you still got to realize that 100 million consoles sold, 20% of that is still 20 million people. So you're basically telling 20 million people that are out in the cold and they don't deserve to have a console that allows them to play how they want to play. Okay. Thank you for telling me how you feel. I will move on and continue to do things that I'm doing. Will I still buy Grand Theft Auto on my PS5? Yes, because I'm not going to wait to play it, because I'm not going to wait to play it on PC. But when it comes to like the PlayStation 6, am I going to be going out of my way to like buy your next gen console that's going to probably cost me 12 to 13, $1,400 just for you can tell me how I got to play my games? Nope, not going to do it. And that's kind of how I feel about it. But what about you, Ramon? What do you think about that?
I'm taking a wait and see approach. Uh, on its face, as it is right now, number one, if like if PlayStation 6 was to launch at what the current expenses are, I wouldn't be getting it simply because of the price. Like that's a little too steep, and I don't want to pay upwards of I mean, they're talking $900 US.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, we're talking like somewhere in the realm of about 1,200-1,300 dollars Canadian. So I'm not going to pay that for a console. That's number one. Number two, even if the prices weren't that high, um, I have trust issues with PlayStation. I personally know someone whose account got stolen. He didn't know it was stolen at the time. I didn't know it was stolen at the time until Colin Moriarty's account got hacked and stolen. And I remembered that everything Colin said was exactly what happened to this kid that I work with at work. So
Hmm.
I was just like, holy crap, that's what happened to him. So I think that they need to get their security uh,
Yes.
worked out, because I have trust issues with them with that. Because that's a major thing, and the fact that they're willing to let people's accounts get hacked and stolen, and then say there's nothing we can do when there totally is something they can do,
Hmm.
is something they need to get worked out. Apparently, per Colin Moriarty, they hired a fraud team to work on that. So we'll see what
Okay.
happens with that. Next, my next biggest issue, uh, game preservation slash options. Um, if like the whole reason they didn't get in trouble with regulators, EU, I think it was regulators, about not allowing their games to be sold on other digital storefronts, is because they fell back on, well, people have options. They can buy digital. I mean, they can buy physical games, and that's what got them out of hot water. With them doing away with physical games, they may have no choice but to allow their games to be sold on other storefronts. We'll see what happens, but per what happened back when the regulators got on their case before, they may not have a choice about that.
Right.
So if that comes to pass and the games will be purchasable on other sites like Green Man and Fanatical, then that solves the problem of choice. And you're not locked into just buying from them and subject to their whims. Next, game preservation. I mean, game preservation on PC is not a problem
Right.
because there's emulation. Game preservation on console is a problem. And having digital only is a problem. Um, and that reminds me, unless you know what, I'm gonna look right now. Um, so Batman Arkham, what is it? Arkham Origins.
Hmm.
Uh, you cannot buy Batman Arkham Origins on console.
Oh
It's not
shit.
available digitally. Digitally, it's not available. You can't get it. You can only get Return to Arkham Dual Pack, which is Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and then of course Arkham Knight. but Arkham Origins is not available digitally on console. It is available digitally on PC.
Mm,
And the reason I know this, and the whole reason I still have the series on PS3 was because I had Arkham Origins on PC or on PS3, and I was looking to get it on PS4 so that I could have it, but you can't find it.
right.
So and when I saw that it was on PC, I was like, holy crap, you can actually get it. And I remember I bought all the games, I rebought them on PC. So that's another example of game preservation. That game on console, it's gone,
Right.
whereas you can get it on PC. Um, it Arcade mentioned Jason Schreier's video in the chat. Shout out to Arcade. And Jason Schreier broke it all down, and the whole financial aspect of it is, they get all of the pie by going digital instead of the large piece of the pie. It's all
Mm-hmm.
it's all money, and I understand that. I understand that. It drives me nuts because it's this whole capitalist you know infinite profits. The line constantly has to keep going up, 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 which is unsustainable. But that's a whole other discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so I'm trying to balance it by looking at both sides. My consumer side, whose emotions is wrapped up in these games, because that's a whole part of it, is the emotional side. And a lot of people will say, well, you got to take your emotions out of it because this is business. Yes, but it's a business that is built on an emotional attachment to the product.
Yep.
The whole business is built on emotions. Otherwise, we'd still be playing Pong, but we don't still play Pong anymore. Not primarily. We stories. What do people say when a game has a bad story? They're like, I didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about why I was doing this. It's like, why am I doing this? I just didn't care. That's emotion. You didn't care. You want to care about the characters. You want to care about the world. You want to care about all of the people walking around in that world that you're supposed to save or help or assist or whatever. So yeah, the business side of it, you have to, is can't be emotional, but we also can't forget that this business is built on emotions. So there is that side of it. And for people who are angry, and myself included, I'm angry with them for, you know, bringing this to an end. But I also do understand that at some point, you know, it was very likely that we were going to see a shift to all digital.
Mm-hmm.
If they at least if we at least have options on where we can buy our games, I will feel more confident about buying first party PlayStation games. And I say that because, you know, especially with their security issues, I buy all of my games on PC that I can't get.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that I can get, and I only play first party games on PlayStation now. But game preservation and options and the security of their network. Those are the main things that they need to reassure their customer base with. And the last thing I'll say is as many issues as I may have with Nintendo, the one thing I can give Nintendo is, I mean, they've been trying to nudge their consumer base digital as well, which is why
Mm-hmm.
you have these prices where the digital is cheaper than the physical. They want to get it physical too. They all these companies do. But Nintendo has maintained their culture, their gaming culture. They maintain what it is to be Nintendo and a Nintendo gamer. And I respect them for that. They have not deviated, and they've made mistakes. They've done things that, were foolish, and they recovered from it because they got their act back together. And they maintain their culture. And I have a lot of respect for that. PlayStation is is seeming very sterile these days. The PlayStation gaming culture, it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't even feel like it's there anymore. And like I said last week, I feel like I've gone from being a PlayStation fan to being a PlayStation customer, and now I just feel like I'm a PlayStation client. Like,
Right.
they seem to have a very sterile approach to what they're doing now. And that's fine. That's their choice, and I have moved accordingly. Where I just, I'm very matter of fact about it now. It's like, okay, well, I can only get this here. I get this here. You know, the ecosystem, I like it, but it's just like now it's just whatever it is. So I don't know. That's hopefully I didn't ramble too much on that, but that's kind of
No.
where I am now. Is I feel like, it's more transactional now instead of a really fun culture that, you get excited for a new console generation. All right, I'm hyped. Let's go. We were all hyped for this generation coming in, and
Hmm.
nobody's checking for a PS6 and Helix.
Nope.
Most people that I've heard, and then, I've seen lots of people online and otherwise, it feels like this generation has barely gotten started, even though it's 6 years old. Like
Hmm.
it feels like it feels incomplete. This generation feels incomplete. We barely just started getting, current gen only games and mass. So, you know, I don't know, and nobody's excited for next gen that I've seen. I've not seen a single person excited for next gen. I don't want it.
I, I have next gen.
And
It's called my PC with a 4090 in it.
yeah, exactly.
That's
4080
what.
Super over here. So
Yes, I have next gen already, brother. I don't know what y'all
yeah,
talking about. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how the next year or so pans out. And I just I also just think that PlayStation knows that a lot of people are going to buy the PS6 day one because first of all, the price is going to be ridiculous, and second of all, that's the main reason. That's another one of the reasons I think they want to go into this digital ecosystem because they can make up, a big lion's share of the difference in revenue off of like that extra money that people are buying by just buying the games in store and not having to pay royalties and revenue to third parties that house shelves to buy their games and everything. And but I do think one of the biggest things that really don't make sense to me is their decision to say that our retail offerings aren't going to change, meaning because they're going to still sell versions of the games in store, but they're going to be codes in a box. I just feel like if you're going to go all the way to making a case with cover art
with a
to put
code
on the
in it.
shelf to put a code in it, how much more money are you really saving by not putting a disc in a box? Because the dude, you could go to Micro Center and buy a spindle of 50 DVD Blu-rays for what, 30, 40, like $30 of 50 Blu-rays, and that's at regular retail price. What it's cost?
Dude,
And you own and that's the thing. You own the Blu-ray platform. You're part of the incinerator that owns Blu-ray. So your cost is a lot lower than Xbox's cost because they got to buy the Blu-rays from you. So
yeah,
how
but all
so
of the other expenses that go along with it is what they want to get rid of.
yeah, but they're still putting a case on shelf. That's
Yeah,
another
well, yeah, that's
you're still shipping it. It's not like you're saving on shipping because you're still shipping a physical item to a store. You're still
it
making
could be
cover
that they're
art.
trying to just. It could be that that they're trying to ease people into it, and this is another way to do it.
Oh yeah, and then
You know,
they'll
they're just
just cut
easing
it at
people.
completely at some point in the future.
Well,
But
they probably also like you said it earlier. They said they made this announcement so people can get all the emotions out and get it in their
mhm,
head, so that way when the PS6 comes out,
yeah.
releasing a non-physical physical copy of GTA 6 may be a way of them, getting people to just say, man, well, hell, if all I'm buying is just a case with a code, I might as well just buy it digitally.
Yep.
So this could
Yeah.
be just them making another step towards kind of gently shoving people into the digital world by releasing something as ridiculous as a code in a box. So people be like, man, this is stupid. Like, why am I even bothering with a a box when I'll just buy it digitally. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
it could be another step in that direction.
okay. All right. So last thing, and then we're gonna get up out of here. Xbox has a very unique opportunity here when it comes to this situation. I've never seen it so clear and like clear as day in my life. 2013, Xbox came out and talked about TV, football, sports, all this other stuff. DRM, share, having a 24-hour check-in, and all this other crazy stuff. And then the next day, PlayStation unbundles the camera out the box. They lower the price by $100 and tell people in a video, this is how you share your games. All this in less than 24 hours. They did all that in less than 24 hours.
Yep.
If Microsoft wanted to do anything, this is a perfect opportunity for them to
full circle moment.
Full circle. It to me, the fact that this hasn't happened already lets me know that Xbox is done.
Well, dude, number one, here's the thing. Xbox has already been like half stepping in that direction anyway. Like Pentiment is a first party game. It's digital only. Was Hellblade, did Hellblade have a physical release? Hellblade 2?
Nope, it didn't. Digital only.
Hellblade 2 didn't was digital only. How about Grounded?
Digital only.
And Grounded 2 digital only.
Digital only.
Yeah, in fact, there are some games that have released physical on PlayStation that are digital only on Xbox. So, unfortunately,
Helldivers.
for them,
Helldivers, yeah, they didn't make a physical copy of Helldivers for Xbox. It's digital only.
So, unfortunately, they have positioned themselves to where they can't take advantage of this situation because they've already been moving in that direction. And like,
Brother,
I mean, well, Game Pass alone is already got people with empty consoles, no games on them, just renting, digitally. But yeah, they positioned themselves to where they can't take advantage of that already. If they hadn't been, then this would have been a golden opportunity. But
brother, I would have found I would have rewound the tape and found a way. Dog, if Project Helix didn't have a disk drive, it does now. I'm serious. If Project Helix did not at this point, when they listen, even if they had to delay the console for an entire year, because guess what? Most people but like you said, most people aren't looking for next gen. They're not looking for it right now. We don't even, listen, when I got rid of my Series X, I knew I didn't even get the full potential of what my Series X was. Nowhere near what the potential of it was. But the thing is, I'm serious. If this was me, I would sit there and say, Project Helix doesn't have a disk drive? Yes, it does. How long would it take to implement? 7-8 months? Cool. What was our timetable? Fall 2020, fall 2027, middle of 2028. Push it back to when we can make it ready. We ain't even announced anything yet. And then we would have came, and then guess what I would have did the next day? Came out with an Xbox Series X on the counter. This is what I would, if I was Asha, came out on the counter. Matt Booty goes over to the shelf and grabs a game. And then all of a sudden he hands it to me and I put it in an Xbox and say, this is how you play a physical game on your Xbox. And this is how it's going to be for the foreseeable future with our next console going forward with Project Helix. And we're also working on a way for people that's playing digital to be able to share their digital libraries with other people, and also being able to trade their digital games in for currency to go towards other games if they so choose. This is why you want to be in the Xbox ecosystem. This is why Xbox is back. and then it would have been a black logo that popped up on the screen saying Xbox, and I would have been like, "Let the internet feast for
Well,
however long it would be."
they do still have some opportunity, assuming PlayStation doesn't do the same thing, and that is this rumored attachable or like via cable or hardware or what attachable disk drive to where you can load disk the disk into and copy it digitally onto your console.
Yes.
If that's true, if it's true that they're doing that and PlayStation doesn't do that, when it's time for the next generation, they could have a similar moment in that and say, you know, we recognize that game preservation and the ability to move your library forward is a right that you should have, whether it's a digital library or a physical library. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why we offer this disk drive. Insert the disk and and it records your game onto your console so that you can always have your library with you no matter what format you buy it in. And you know what? I could only dream that that would be compatible with PC because then
Mm-hmm.
I would immediately go back and hunt down those first three Forza Horizon games that I had to
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice when I sold it. I would hunt those three games down, and then I would buy that disk drive and copy them into my PC. But as far as Xbox is concerned, that's their golden opportunity to say, hey, we know you care about physical games. Over here on Xbox, you can attach this drive and load your games into your PC.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
and so and then if they do go all digital, and they will when they
they
go all
will.
digital, that's still a comfort to the consumer because they you can buy Xbox games from like I don't think you can buy them from Green Man or Fanatical, but I know you can
No,
buy
you
them on
can.
Load.
You can buy them on Green
Oh,
Man.
okay, maybe I just filtered it out early on. But so you can buy your Xbox games in multiple storefronts, but then your physical library can come with you. Like I say, assuming this rumor is true, your physical library can come with you. So
Yep.
like that's two major advantages, unless PlayStation, like I say, unless they're forced to allow their games to be sold in these multiple retailers online as well. But Xbox definitely has a PR layup here that
Just
hopefully
waiting.
they'll take advantage of.
Just waiting for the layup. But with that being said, I want to say thank you to everybody that came through. Shout out to the over 27 people that were here in the chat with us on the week that Slow Mo was on vacation, slumming it up somewhere else in the world. We miss you, bro. And we hope when you finally listen to this show, you're very, very happy with the things we had to say. He's probably going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if he was watching and screaming at us for certain things that we said. He was like, well, wait a second, Ramon. I don't agree with that. Or Forte, I don't agree with that. And guess what? Shove it, bro. You wasn't here with us. We still miss you and we still love you. But with that being said,
On vacation.
yeah,
You know,
exactly. Enjoy your vacation, bro. But with that being said, Ramon, please tell everybody where they can find you and what you got going on over the course of the next week.
yo, thanks everybody for coming through. Another great show. Another great discussions. Please excuse that cough. That's my dog who decided to walk up next to me and cough. Um, you can find me on Blue Sky under my name, Ramon Terrell. And I'm trying to get on TikTok more because I need to market my work. But just look me up, Ramon Terrell. You'll find me. Um, saw some some spicy, overly heated discussions in the chat, and I would just like to encourage everyone to remember that this is a beautiful hobby that we have, and it's all for fun. This is for our entertainment. And yes, these companies do a lot of stupid things that annoy the crap out of us, but let's just try to remember that we do this, to enjoy it there's enough stress in our lives, whether it's our job or whether it's things that happen in our lives. So, let's just try to enjoy this hobby. And, heated discussions are fine, but let's just try to keep that perspective and, enjoy the hobby for what it is, and it's to make us happy. Um,
Facts.
Soapbox off. You guys have a
So
great time. Enjoy your games, play your games, and that's it from me. Have a great weekend.
yeah, definitely. And once again, appreciate you coming through and doing this today. Um, I knew we already. I ain't gonna lie, I was a little nervous. I said, man, I ain't like ran a show in a while, but I remember how to do it. I just had to I had a great person here with me to help me get through it, and I really appreciate Ramon spending time with me and the rest of you guys in the chat. It's always a great time having him here, and I appreciate his company and his expertise when it comes to all of these things. But outside of that, Gaming Forte on YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation, and Blue Skies, because I actually did load up and get into my Blue Skies account because it made me remember that Ramon isn't on Twitter anymore, so that's why he messaged me on
Lord,
Discord.
no.
Oh yeah, because I was like, why he messaging me on Discord? I was like, oh, because he's not on X anymore. Um, but yeah, with that being said, guys, we really appreciate it. We will see you guys next week, same time, Thursday, 9 p.m. The homie Slow-Mo will be back, and hopefully with a lot of stuff to tell us how great we did during the show. And we appreciate it. But enjoy your weekend, enjoy the games you guys playing. Don't be out in the heat too much. It's supposed to be another hot one over the course of the weekend and next week. And we appreciate you guys, and we see you guys later. Y'all have a good weekend. Peace.
Peace out, y'all.